Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. Your ghost host with the most, Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5, here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs to recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So, light the jack o' lanterns, suit up, and grab the candy dish as we revive and recount tonight's spooky selection. Beetlejuice, laugh of the party. Do you get it? It's a play on words. Instead of life, it's laugh because Beetlejuice is dead. All right. Okay, Dragon, good to be back. Yeah, Dragon, I must say I'm pretty stoked for the lineup we have this year. And as you're going to see on Movie Memoirs, for me personally, it's been a damn good year for horror, man. Like this month in particular. So I am stoked up on horror. I'm stoked up on Halloween. It's the most wonderful time of the year as far as I'm concerned, Dragon, outside of Christmas and July, of course. So, Beetlejuice. Dragon, I'm sure this at least got brought up when we talked about the actual film, but I have a lot of nostalgia for Beetlejuice as an IP just based on the fact that, first and foremost, I was familiar with it as a cartoon. And then I remember one day browsing my local Bradley video store, shout out in Roanoke Park. God, I miss it, University Square. But yeah, so I was browsing the Bradley video, and I saw like the live action actors with Michael David, Michael Keaton Beetlejuice, and Dragon. It was just one of those mind blowing moments to me, like one of those earth shattering, like, oh my god, he does exist. And I must say, ever since then, I've kind of had a fascination with Beetlejuice as kind of like this multimedia kind of like Dragon. Essentially, I relate him to basically being the horror genre's Deadpool, lovingly. He's all over the place. He was an icon at Halloween Horror Nights for a long time. Of course, we've got the cartoon, we've got the musical, which is a big fixture of the pop culture landscape right now for the fandom. The musical, it's interesting, Dragon, because the musical was a casualty of the 2020 shutdowns, and then they just recently reopened for about another year, and then bam, shut down again. C'est la vie. But Dragon, the tour is happening, and I do want to get to that if I can. Anyways, I digress. So I do think the cartoon is kind of like, looking back on it, it is a little bit on the lower rung as far as Beetlejuice media is concerned, because I guess after all this time as a Beetlejuice fan, I'm like, yeah, this is fun, but it's it's basically watered down Beetlejuice. It's not your I would say even compared to theme park Beetlejuice, it's kind of like a rung below that as far as like the edginess is concerned. But I will say that the cartoon does have a lot of fun creativity behind it. It did not disappoint in my memories of the creature designs in particular. There's some fun stuff going on there. I'm interested to revisit a little bit more of it because there's some components to this that I just straight up don't remember, including but not limited to the fact that the human designs in this show, especially this popular rich girl archetype Dragon, they are horrific. Like, they are straight up like Tim Burton nightmare fuel, and I'm not sure if that was intentional or not.
Well, yeah, it would be if you're gonna do that, this would be the show to do that on.
Of course. So, Dragon, first and foremost, what's your relationship with Beetlejuice media? Really quick, just give me again, just kind of like, you don't have to go into much depth, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the pieces of the musical I did send you, and then overall what you thought of this episode.
I'm sorry. Do you want me to start with the musical or the anime or like my history with the show?
Start with overall the history of the show, and then Beetlejuice is a multimedia conglomerate, essentially.
Right. Yeah. So if I recall correctly, my introduction to Beetlejuice was the animated show and then the movie. I believe that's kind of how I arrived at it. I think in which I was like, like when I got to the movie, I was like, man, this is vastly different from the animated show. Completely. Like, who are these people? Why am I focusing on Alec Baldwin? What's going on here? I'm pretty sure that's kind of what it's a very vivid memory. I'm pretty sure that's how I was introduced to the Beetlejuice movie after the animated series. Like, wait a minute, this is completely off, man. Where's the girl in Beetlejuice, man?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, it was very much if memory serves. My introduction to the animated show was very much they had these VHS tapes out, and it was probably like a library rental. That's probably because the thing is, it would have been I suspect it would have been off the air by the time it had gotten to me. So I don't, unless
Mm.
they had reruns going on still, which I kind of doubt because it would have been a major gap of years. I mean, unless it was going really strong. I mean, then again, it could have been rerun on. I want to say it might have been revived. It was an ABC show originally. Now, I think it might have been revived possibly on Cartoon Network. That would be the only way I could have seen it air. The only way. But that's why I think
I
it's
want
pretty
to
much.
say it was Nickelodeon for me, but it could have been. It honestly could have been either one.
Now again, I'm a little fuzzy on that because again, just like logically, I mean, I wonder how it would end up on either Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network. Nickelodeon would make more sense given the Nick at Night factor at play, but that's kind of still not really Nick at Night. So I don't really. I'm pretty sure it would have been
Nickelodeon, I very well might be confusing it with All Real Monsters.
okay. My point is I suspect it would have been Cartoon Network, but again, I don't understand the logic of how it would go from ABC to Cartoon Network. So regardless, so I would not put all, I wouldn't bet all of King Midas' silver on that one. You know, I
Uh-huh.
would, I would just probably suspect it was the VH. They did put out a number of VHS tapes, so I probably it was kind of similar to how I was introduced to Batman the Animated Series, in which it was like that well-worn, not introduced to Batman the Animated Series, how I kind of mainly had Batman the Animated Series. I had like that VHS tape kind of rental that then got copied onto a VHS tape, so I rewatched those 8 episodes over and over again until, thankfully, years later they put out the whole series on DVD. So, regardless, I mean, Beetlejuice was kind of it was kind of cut from the cloth of the shows that I really liked, with Freakazoid, and this kind of came after Beetlejuice, but I mean, kind of like the Mask animated show that came out, where again these are kind of your for the case of the Mask, it's kind of an animated tie-in that is a little different from the movie, but still kind of capturing kind of the greatest hits of the property it's based on. So Beetlejuice, absolutely. The design work is great, and I mean, again, it's taking like, hey, let's take the charisma of Beetlejuice and make him a lot more kind of likable and mischievous, a little more cute and cuddly, if you will. More kind of let's turn him into kind of more of a show character, turn more into kind of a mischievous, kind of mask-like character,
Mhm.
And of course, this kind of thing gets down the line. We kind of have this with like the Fairly Odd Parents, for example. You have kind of like the wacky, kind of magical, kind of floating, kind of characters, weigh in on the slice of life kind of narrative. So yeah, I mean, that was always kind of my relationship with it. It was always kind of very positive. I mean, when I go back to it, doesn't hold up as well, but it's still what I walk away with this with is there's still like a lot of good jokes and stuff that still really kind of make me laugh. And again, the design work, and it's like okay, it does bring a well worn flow of nostalgia. And beyond that, with Beetlejuice, the Virgins, and the other stuff. I mean, of course, the thing I had probably still before the movie was the Beetlejuice attraction at Universal.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure.
The Universal Monster Rock and
I
Roll
believe it's
show.
called the Beetlejuice Rocking Graveyard Review or something like
I think
that.
they kind of changed the name a couple times, but that was the original.
Uh-huh.
That's the one I'm familiar with, the one you just said. So
Yeah.
yes. So that was the other. So I think that was my like live action introduction to Beetlejuice, and then it was the movie, if memory
Like I
serves.
said, I would wager to say that the theme park version slightly more hard edged than the animated version.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Slightly.
I mean, slightly. But the jokes were not as dirty as the ones Keaton were kind of throwing at you in Beetlejuice, but still, it was like I don't know. For me, it was always the pyrotechnics of that show that really kind of scared
uh,
me as a kid. It was like, oh god, I don't
oh,
know what
dude,
you do here.
Universal is the king when it comes to pyrotechnics, if anything else.
Yeah. I mean, to me, a little too good. But yeah, now of course, speaking of the Rock and Roll Review, obviously the movie we already talked about. A lot of good, great stuff there. I got rewatched it already, just getting preparation for the Halloween stuff, and still, it's a great watch, man. Again, you see why they gave Tim Burton that Batman money. It's like, man, he
For
did such
me,
a great job.
I think it's pretty definitively my favorite Burton movie nowadays. I think.
Really, you like Beetlejuice that
Yeah,
much?
I think I pretty definitively. To me, it's like the most quintessential Burton movie. It's like the most untouched Tim Burton vision, in my opinion.
I don't remember if you were that glowing when we talked about it last time. I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you, Dragon. It's aged like fine wine to me.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is quite good. It does hold up quite well. Again, the humor is really on point too, and again, you really care about the Maitlands too. That's the thing. Again, whereas a kid, I didn't give a crap about the Maitlands as a kid, not at all.
Well, that's because they
Couldn't
weren't
care.
in the damn cartoon, Dragon.
Exactly, and I was like, wait a minute, these aren't Lydia's parents. What's going on here? Anyway, so in
Yeah.
regards to the musical they put out, I saw a few clips of it. Was not impressed.
Oh wow. Okay. I'm not
Yeah,
surprised. Why am I surprised?
yeah, it's just I don't
I mean,
know.
I was like, did you at least think the dude playing Beetlejuice had good chemistry in the role? Come on, give me something.
Well, let me remind you, I've only seen a few clips of the thing, so I don't think it's really a good measure of the whole show's entirety. But from what I saw, again, it was like he was okay. He brought energy to it. I wasn't crazy about him singing, but I mean, his performance was good, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
The one major difference in the show that I do think is really interesting is the fact that they do make Lydia the central character, much like the TV show, but I think they do a much better job at it because the show is all about Lydia dealing with the death of her mother, and in this show, Delia still exists, but she's a stepmother instead of the actual mother.
Now, to be fair, in the movie, it was a little vague as to like if what the relation because he called she called her parents by their first names, so it was unclear if that was like a sullen teen thing or not.
I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be a Solentine thing. I'm pretty sure.
That's the thing. 'Cause I think my assumption is that it's a birth mother thing, but there was always the intimation that perhaps she was a stepmother. We don't know for
Uh-huh.
certain. You have to ask the guy with the big kind of like Edgar Allan Poe hair for that one.
Well, regardless, even if Delia in the movie is not actually her biological mother, there's no dead mother angle in the movie like there is
No.
in the show. That's like that. That's the big emotional crux. That's the
Well, I mean,
big
I will say the one thing I
difference.
did like in the clips that you did show me is that I did like her kind of teasing Beetlejuice with the whole like listing the
Yeah.
names. Yeah.
See, I thought you'd like that. There's a reason
Oh
why I
yeah.
said that.
No, no,
That's
that
probably
was good. That
the most in character song in the show. Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you that for sure. I mean, of
All
the
right.
bunch,
All
that was the
right.
only thing I could gravitate towards. Really, is everything else is like, and Beale's just reminding us that we're all dead. So okay,
All right.
yeah,
Anyways.
yeah. But yeah, so the show, this little brief nostalgia on the show specifically for this episode. Actually, this was I know this episode very well, Tiki,
Do
and
you
again,
really? That's funny because I don't. Like I it's funny, Dragon. I cannot for the life of me recall any particular episode of this show, even though I know I watched it quite a bit.
well, because this was in the first season. This is like I think like episode 7 or something, or like roughly in the
It's episode
first like
5, I think.
5, even better, like
Uh,
5 or 6 or whatever. Let's say 5. This one for sure was on that VHS tape I watched. So because of that, I know this episode rather well. Because again, seen it many times, and I suspect there's two
oh, us
episodes.
90s kids and our VHS cassette tapes.
So that's the thing. This episode, when I saw the title of this episode before rewatching it, I was because it's been so long since again I've kind of moved on from the VHS tape. It kind of got lost to the sands of time. But the thing is, it was one of two episodes, and I've seen them both. It's one of two episodes. This one, or the one where at the episode ends with like Lydia making like this sullen prince guy kind of laugh. So
Uh-huh.
because of the laugh thing, I thought okay, there's a chance it could be that, but it has to be the Halloween party, given the party in the title. And then of course when I saw the image that we had before us, you're like, okay, this is absolutely this is the big old nostalgic bell. It's being rung here. Hooray. But there we go. And did you know this? If I recall, this thing might somewhat predate DreamWorks. This is the Geffen company before it was Geffen joined forces with Spielberg and Jeffrey Katzenberg.
I did not recall, but it makes sense. It tracks.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Right. Yeah. So all that said, we've kind of gone over the whole like it's very different than the show. Lydia and Beetlejuice. They're buddies. There's no Maitlands, and
Can I just get one thing out of the way, and then we don't have to address it ever again in the course of the podcast? It's just kind of like weirdly like in the air.
Okay.
I don't like how Beetlejuice calls Lydia babe.
Well, like, I don't know. It's like how
Like I
everyone in
said, we don't
Hollywood.
have to like make a big deal out of it. I just don't like it. It's just weird. It's a weird pet
Well, I
name.
mean, what would you rather have? Him calling her babe or him trying to marry her as like a marriage of convenience?
Okay, I mean you're not wrong about that, but I'm just saying like I don't know, like kid.
I don't know. Anyway, it just feels like the right amount of inappropriate for a really kind of softened Beetlejuice. I don't know. It just feels like calling her babe. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. That's fair. All right.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway,
can we just gloat for just a second about how freaking great the opening sequence is?
yeah, the opening was always, I think, like
It's awesome, isn't it?
when people found out there was a Beetlejuice cartoon, you kind of see this in the folks like, wait a minute, there's a Beetlejuice cartoon they go to, and you can see like, oh god, this them being blown away by that introduction.
Yeah, no, I mean it really is just like the a textbook example of just animators just putting it all into the opening sequence. The roller coaster, the snake imagery, the hallways. It's a tour de force, I think.
I mean, what's really great is like the moment he steps down, you have that music cue and everything playing, and then like the stripes appear on the suit. Like that's always been like, oh god, it's like Tiki for me. There's one thing I love more than anything on this earth with Beetlejuice. It's very simple, I think one of the greatest moments in the Beetlejuice movie for me is the way Keaton says, "Showtime." When he says showtime, so I love it when
You know what? I think it's great in the opening. I do think they milk it a little too much in the actual episode. I think it's one of the cases of like, all right, that's the big line, so we got to have it like twice per episode, mandated.
Well, I think more so it's if I'm a betting man, it's probably like something they have to work in almost every episode. So it's probably like a sort of like, yeah, okay, we have to have him say showtime because that's his catchphrase.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I think there's like literally like probably a mandate on how many times they have to have him say it per episode.
Well, I know that, Tig. I don't know if he says it twice in this episode, but I'm pretty sure he says it like once per episode.
I'm pretty sure he says it at least 3 times this episode.
Really?
Mostly because of the party planner thing, honestly.
Maybe because I know he says it during like the big moment in this episode. I was wondering if he's anyway. But yeah, for sure, it's kind of like in the animated Mask show. I'm pretty sure they had him not every episode, but he would definitely work. They would definitely work in Smoking.
Yeah, no, it very much reminds me of that for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, of course, the intro. It's very much. It's kind of like what if you saw Tim Burton in 2D, which so rarely, if ever, do we do because we usually do in kind of doing kind of the stop motion setting. So again, it's kind of like cool to see that adapt, and also like the cell animated look, which of course, like on our painted backgrounds, looks amazing, and how we're shifting the colors and the striped pattern. We're doing essentially the Krunk and Yzma kind of like roller coaster, which is awesome.
Totally. All right.
Anyway, so yeah, opening always testament, chef's kiss, fantastic. So then we have our little Halloween special that unfolds before us here. We have Lydia's Dracula alarm clock, which is delightful. A lot of great kids. There's so much great production design in this.
Yeah. Let's see. So it's just kind of like, Beetlejuice is just kind of going about a normal day until Lydia drops the fact that it's Halloween, and Beetlejuice has some really great reactions this episode, 2 in particular, the party one and the Halloween one. The Halloween one is his head just literally just spins around and transforms into a jack-o'-lantern.
Now, to be fair, this has always been like probably the best thing they lifted from the movie. Everything, of course, when Keaton does that like thing where he's just like, does your head do that too? So the fact that we do that all the time in this show, that was a great pull of that. So we can always just kind of react and we kind of dress it up a little bit here. So when he does it here, ends on a big old pumpkin head, and it's a cool looking pumpkin head, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love parties, and because he loves parties and he loves scaring people. And Lydia suggests like, no, no parties, we're just gonna go trick or treat. And of course, people just can get on board for some tricking people.
And I do really like the idea that Beetlejuice, it's like, it's like the one time of the year that Beetlejuice can go out with Lydia and Dragon. What is the disguise? What is the persona that Beetlejuice
Yeah,
adapts?
I can explain this. So,
This is wonderful.
yes, so Beetlejuice, because Lydia goes to an all girls like kind of like not I don't know, it's a Catholic school, like a private school. She goes to like an all girls
Uh-huh.
school, and she basically so they set up this character episodes ago. So she pops. So the identity that Beetlejuice uses for his human identity is Betty Juice.
Betty Juice. I love it. I love it.
So the idea, and that's why later on in the episode, Delia is in head over heels for Betty Juice. It's the
Oh my
idea
god.
that I think it was a camping episode. Is when Betty? I could be wrong. I think that's when she
I
showed
also
up for the
just
first
I
time.
love the idea that Beetlejuice plays like a popular it girl that sticks up for Lydia as well. I don't know. They're
Yeah.
just like it's both hilarious and endearing at the same time. I think it's a great device.
Oh, I full on agree there. So we go to Miss Shannon's school for girls, and we meet. So here, this is fun. I was delighted in this looking back on
You know what
Beetlejuice.
I have written down in my notes for this character, Dragon?
Pray tell, what is it, Tiki?
What in the fresh and Angela Anaconda hell is this?
Okay, so the fun fact about so you're referring to all of them or just Claire?
Just Claire mostly.
Yeah.
Just the lips, Dragon. The lips is what really bothers
So
me.
Claire Brewster, she's essentially kind of like the popular girl, mean girl antagonist of the show for Lydia. And the fun thing looking back on her is that that's Tara Strong in the early days, like even before she had like Strong on her name, man. It's like when she had
Uh-huh.
like a
Uh-huh.
maiden name. So it's going all the way back there. So yeah, it's the fact that it's just I just love Tara Strong just doing this like this hilarious kind of like this mean girl voice. It's really funny. Basically
No, they're
telling
not of the
Lydia.
performance. I just do not like those pouty, realistic lips.
I mean, for me, it's less the lips; it's more like the tan. She's got like the weird
No, the
tan.
tan too. You're not wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, and of course, later on, her costume complements this bizarre look so perfectly.
Yeah, no, no. I don't know. There's just something kind of uncanny about it. And the fact that I also think the fact that her features on her face are just a little bit more realistic than any of the other characters. Like,
Yeah, like Lydia has that. Why do you feel about Lydia's design?
I actually really like Lydia's design just from an adaptation point of view because clearly they have to go for a lot younger. But I don't know. I think I don't necessarily like the pink rabbit look just because there's an
Well, neither does
animation.
she, Tiki.
No, I know. I'm just saying like out of the three looks here. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean, in general too. Yeah, it's. I think overall, she always had kind of like a kind of a cute, kind of fun, like streamlining of that design, which yeah, it does come across very well. But yeah, you're right. In comparisons, like here is kind of like a cool like design that befits that character. We have like, okay, mean girl cliche a walking.
uh-huh.
So, anyways, she walks there and basically said Lydia's not invited to her party, and then Lydia lies, saying, "Well, yeah, it's fine because you're not invited to my party either." So, of course, her friends, Bertha and Prudence,
And these
they
designs also just fucking. I'm sorry, they suck.
yeah, I concur. This is what I'm saying. When you look back on, I forgot completely how like I knew they were exaggerating. I forgot. Oh man, yeah, that's like her knees are really Bertha's knees are really off.
Yeah, the small one I don't mind as much, but yeah, the tall one is just really
Plus,
bad.
it's got like this. Plus, she's got like this hysterical, this really odd, like kind of like the weird kind of like nerdy, throaty voice sort of thing going on here,
Uh-huh.
like a party.
Oh God.
So anyway, so the point being, we have this. I do love our transition. There's a really great transition. So after like essentially, Bertha and Prudence are now invited publicly to this party that we've established that Lydia is having, even though she didn't want to do a party. And we have like this pumpkin mouth closing, and then when it opens, we reveal it from Beetlejuice's POV. It's a really good shot.
He's just like still just chilling in the pumpkin head.
Yeah, yeah. So Beetlejuice offers to help her get back and Claire through various Beetlejuice-like means. Of course, I think my favorite of the bunch being the slimy pizza, which is this giant like cheese pizza monster thing. let's see, like roasted beetles in her socks, mouse in her blouse, ants down her pants. So Lydia lets it slip that she's having a party, and oh boy.
Yeah, this is a great reaction with the balloons.
Yeah, oh god, I love the balloon transformation and everything. And then you jumped ahead early. This is where we get the Beetlejuice thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, here's where she now knowing that there's a party, Beetlejuice, which oh god, just the fact that he's gonna be able to play his kind of his persona here, it's gonna be gonna be the popular girl at the party. At least he thinks. So let's see. So Lydia's thinking, okay, so certainly my parents are not going to allow a Halloween party. So Delia, however, which again, I love how Delia is just properly scary, like Catherine O'Hara was in Beetlejuice, but in a different way.
Out of all the human characters, I feel like Delia, they absolutely nailed her. Like she feels like the movie counterpart, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. The parents look like fantastic in terms of like the caricature. They feel like caricatures of those actors, but again, there's like something even more off about them in a way, where it feels appropriate. It feels like everything when Catherine O'Hara was like kind of like losing it in places, like if you don't let me design this house, I'm going to go crazy.
Totally.
It's like what if they captured that little moment?
Exaggeration of that.
Yeah, it's like, what if we took that moment and then turned it into a cartoon character? That's what we did. It's like, take that little spark of something and then just infused it in 2 dimensions.
Exactly.
So she's giving Charles a haircut, and it's not great. Delia sucks at everything, essentially. She's terrible at it. And she basically, Charles looks in the mirror.
Like it.
So that's a great runner that we have. I love it. We kind of throw it back in her face later. It's the whole like you like it. So anyway, so she's like all a buzz of like, yeah, Lydia's having a party. Great, we'll have the party here. I can show everyone my cool hipster taste, my pre-90s hipster taste.
She's basically like the grown up Judy Funny as far as like Gen X 90s hipsters go.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if Judy Funny was adopted, this would be the mama.
Oh God, totally.
And with the red hair to match, so it actually does track. Doug's mom had like blue hair, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, like where'd the red hair?
And then Doug's dad just had like Doug hair.
No, he had blonde hair.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's like something
conspiracy. I think not.
Right. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, so
that's
Lydia,
just the theory. All right.
Okay, so Delia has insisted upon making.
Where's our red circles, Dragon? Where's our little red Sharpie circle?
Don't Tiki. Don't mention the red circle. They're gonna come for us. Don't mention.
Oh God! All right.
Okay, the moment you say it, they're gonna roll in here like the Target dog logo.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Don't joke about that. Anyway, so Delia insist on making Lydia a costume, which is the bunny costume. Basically, it's a pull from A Christmas Story.
Of course it is. I have one very, very specific animation nitpick with this, and it's that, Dragon, they decided to get lazy and not animate the mouth for a few moments.
Well, yeah, so that's the thing. So remind me, does it start off with the mouth moving, or is it not moving?
Yes, that's the thing. It starts out with the mouth moving, and then in the middle, like, I'm sure by their own justification, it's probably like an angle thing, but it is super distracting.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And it's definitely noticeable. It's almost like the book. It's like it's the old bookshelf thing in animation. We're like, wait a minute, I can see that book right there. It's animated to move.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Not one for one the same thing, but you get the idea.
So I'm sorry, but that's why I had to like specifically point out I really don't like the rabbit costume, just because it's just. Anyways.
Okay, so Lydia's like fearing she'll never be able to like live the party down dressed like this, and of course Beetlejuice in the corner, like hilarious. He's like he's in the mirror, like showing up as a carrot, just laughing at her. It's like, come on, Lydia, can't you take a joke? You're certainly dressed like one. Yeah, I really like the Beetlejuice jokes here. I don't know, those were like brought me a lot of chuckles when I was watching. It's like, oh, that worked. Okay. All right, so Lydia, meanwhile, she's back in school. She's like kind of dreading like the whole leaping Lydia thing from her 2 friends. So then she finds out things have just gotten a lot worse. Mumsy sent out invitations, which means everyone's in full attendance, including Claire.
Oh God.
And not just Claire, Tiki. No, not just Claire. The in-group and Claire.
Oh God.
Tiki, it's the in-group.
Yeah.
So Claire's bringing the in-group. That's of course, like Lily's like, yeah, go ahead. Come on down. Which, of course, is like, oh, I'm so screwed. So she's lamenting this old Beetlejuice, who is a lamp. Love the storm cloud gag too, by the way, because like the lamp kind of works like an umbrella.
And I do like how at first I feel like there's a twinge of sarcasm because she's like kind of like lamenting like everyone's gonna be at my party, and he's like, oh boo hoo.
You're like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
So, of course, this is going to lead to like a humiliation, which then gives Beetlejuice a bright idea, which is good because he's a lamp right now, light bulb.
Oh God.
So then this is really funny. So I assume what's happening here. So Delia answers the door, and it's Mr. Beetleman. So I assume Beetlejuice, when he's appeared not as Betty Juice, he's probably appeared at least one other time and as Mr. Beetleman, but with a different occupation. When she answers the door, oh, Mr. Beetleman, you do catering too? Yes, catering.
That is I do like that as far as like the cartoon writing devices go, to have him have like, you know, like a persona that he can use in front of Lydia and her friends, a persona he can use in front of the adults. Like I think that's a really good adaptation choice, I think.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Mr. Beetleman here. This I love. This might be one of my favorite parts of the episode. I got to be honest. I just think this is really funny because this kind of captured the Keaton-esque vibe from the movie for me. Just where
it does.
Because again, Keaton is like he's the sleazy used car salesman of kind of Exorcist in Beetlejuice. So this is like sort of like he shows up and he's like asking for money immediately. He says, "Oh yeah, listen, I need gas money so I can get the ice cream," and he's laying out this whole Keaton-esque kind of laundry list of excuses. And he's like pulling out the little cartoony like pocketbook, which of course really dumps out a whole mess of coins and cash. I got to get party favors. One of a kind. So of course that brings us to the Neither World, which essentially is the afterlife, but this is like a huge like change from the movie, obviously, because we can't really talk about death in a kid's cartoon, apparently. So we're shopping in the Neither World. This is a regular thing they had all throughout the show, Tiki, in which you basically the Neither World always had these ads.
No, I remember the Neither World more than I remember the human stuff, actually.
Oh, really?
Like I have quite a bit of memories of this stuff for sure. Like even a lot of the supporting characters, like the Spider Woman and the skeleton guy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, honestly, when we did the Neither World stuff, this is sort of like a precursor to some of the Courage animation to me, where we had like Neither World had like these ads in which we have kind of that pseudo CG looking style on the spokes head guy. You're like kind of the accordion headed, kind of like guy doing the sales pitch. You're essentially telling you all the stuff you can buy, like spider cider, like fright bulbs and party hats that essentially turn you into stuff like a werewolf and all that sort of stuff. And of course, Beetlejuice, while he's there, he buys the thing that every party needs at least one of: the party animal.
Indeed.
The party animal's a really fun design, isn't he?
This is probably my favorite element of the episode, I think.
I love this with so many of our monster looking characters. Like there's this design theory that's applied to it. They all have like these piano key teeth.
Totally. He also, like, as far as the scale goes, I feel like he has kind of like a Monstar energy to him.
It's kind of like Monstar meets Bigfoot from a Goofy movie.
Oh, that's a good pull. Like personality wise. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you were like literally it depends on how literally you want to take it. Like in an extremely goofy movie,
that is absolutely the same Bigfoot dragon. It's canon,
right. So that's the thing. It looks like he's just got
he got himself educated dragon. I feel like oh god. Can we just go like, you know what my headcanon is for that?
What is your headcanon?
That the moment where he's like chasing Max and Goofy through the woods just for the steak, like that dragon, that was the rock bottom moment for Bigfoot.
And that was him wondering, what am I doing with my life?
Exactly.
I should go back to school.
And there you go. All right.
I could have been an engineer. Anyway.
Oh,
So,
God.
the party animal, great design, very Bigfoot-esque. All right, let's see. Then, of course, we procure party people in a can, which is going to be important later. And my favorite part about this place, I love that the party store is in like kind of a giant, scary-looking cake with teeth.
Uh-huh.
Looks great. All right. So meanwhile, Delia is in her costume, which is like a princess, like a decked out queen or princess or something. And then Charles.
I read it as Marie Antoinette.
Oh, really? I mean, didn't she have like a little princess hat on?
Marie Antoinette. I'm not
No,
sure.
not Marie Antoinette. I mean well.
Yeah, Delia does. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think Marie Antoinette wore like big old princess hats. Do you think?
I don't know. I just know that. Well,
can you ever think of like a real person wearing a princess hat, or is that just an anime?
I just know that Marie Antoinette is like a famous like costume that you give a vain character. So
did Marie Antoinette have like a mole,
like
a beauty mark thing?
I'm sorry I brought it up. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm only asking because if she has one, then I don't know if Delia had. I don't know. All right, I'm just saying if she had a beauty mark, maybe she'd be inclined to go with Marie Antoinette. That's the line of logic I'm trying to go on, but I'm operating on faulty information here. I'm sorry.
Okay, regardless.
Point being, Delia's in a poofy dress. That's all we know. Meanwhile, Charles is wearing a sheet ghost costume, and Delia's like, "Is that Charles? Is that the best you could come up with?" And of course, what's Charles's response?
It's not a costume. I just don't want people to see my haircut.
Which is really funny. Okay, let's see. So, Mr. Beetleman comes in with all the party supplies, including including the party animal.
Yes, and I like that the party animal is basically just kind of like the bouncer, essentially. Question mark?
I mean, kind of, yeah. The ultimate party favor on two legs.
Right.
Oh, relax, relax. This Mrs. Dietz. This is just a harmless Halloween novelty. And his terrible breath like knocks her on her butt. All right, let's see. It's like it's for the filthiest of the rich. It's all the rage with the filthy rich. And of course, when she passes out, you like it. That's a great callback. God, if we could have given Keaton one line, we could have just given him one. Just him when he's scaring the crap out of him. If he could have said, as the little snake kind of stairway thing come to life, you like it.
Oh God.
Anyway, so let's see. So Lydia has transformed her bunny suit into something 10 times cooler. What is she?
Yeah, it's actually a little wolf costume, and you're right. It does look very good.
Yeah, these fangs and everything, and using Charles. Look at what your daughter is. Look what your daughter scared me with. She's like, I think Lydia might need braces.
And also that line, "your daughter" instead of "my daughter."
Oh, right. Huh.
That also kind of like makes me question the stepdaughter of it all. You know what I mean?
That's true, but again, it's always like a whole when someone's in trouble, it's like your child, not mine. So we don't know for
true.
You're right.
But I do feel, Dragon, I feel like you're not wrong in saying that there's some maybe intentional vagueness behind it, though.
Yeah. I've always read there's some vagueness there, but I guess the thing is always kind of like a little kind of like column A, column B on that. So ambiguity, boom. Right. So, okay, let's see. So, Beetlejuice decorates, and this is fun. He's like pulling out like a little box of bats, and then this one I thought was really cool. The ice cream, which is like
I love the ice cream. That's probably my favorite sight gag of the episode. I think
like a bunch of screaming eyes. Like,
and then also,
yes, this was the best one. Tell about
the pumpkin.
No, the punk in a pie, Tiki. It's
right. I'm sorry. Right, the pumpkin pie.
Yes, the pumpkin pie. There you go, the pumpkin pie.
The pumpkin pie,
which is not just the punk; it's like a Glasgow punk or something. It's like a UK punk, later on, when he's running away, he says, "Oi, oi, oi!"
Oh God.
I just love because it's like, hey, he says, watch it.
Like that is like that. That's like the 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 ground zero of the punk movement, so that's pretty accurate,
But
actually.
don't say it's like he's going out there screwing, and Beetle just shoves his head back in the pie. He's like, "We'll save you for later."
Oh God.
It's great. Okay, so let's see. It's creating a whole bunch of mess here. Beetlejuice assures Lydia has got this whole thing under control. Then everything falls, and the punk's like, "Oi, oi, oi!" As he's going out,
Oh
as
God.
he leaps out. I just love every little bounce of the little pie. I love it. I love everything about this little pie. Anyway, so let's see. So then, her friends arrive. Bertha in like a chicken costume, which is sadly a little too fitting, and Prudence, who's like a little Bo Peep or like it's Bo Peep or what's the other one? Mary had a little like either Mary or Bo Peep.
Uh-huh.
So then Claire enters, dressed as Miss America. Here she
Dragon,
is.
I'm sorry, but this design is just, I don't like it.
But again, it feels like the right amount of like kind of hatred applied to kind of it feels like someone like just like let's depict like the Mean Girls and how we saw them. And that's how you see them. You see them as kind of these monstrosities of like fake smiles.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is effectively like, it does effectively get under your skin for sure.
Yeah, slay that popularity monster. Go get him. All right, so let's see. So no one's at the party as Claire has shown up, and all the little friends haven't shown up yet. So this leads to party people in a can. Now all you gotta do is it's really ingenious. Like it has like a little grenade kind of like opener. So you open it up. I think it's kind of cool. It doesn't even deploy like a grenade, but you kind of use like a can opener. So you open it up, you dump them out, and you hose them down with water. You add water. Beetlejuice did not read the warning instructions. That's going to be important later. Also, I love the foreshadow. I don't know if you caught this. It's a really nice foreshadow that you see the full moon out in the background. We kind of have like a little shot lingering on it, but then so again, it's like, hey, full moon. What's the harm? What's the hay? So let's see. The point being, they show up. Beetlejuice. Betty Juice enters. Before that, we do. I believe at this point we do the whole showtime, which is great. Anyway. Betty Juice and all these basically a whole can of the big old party monsters enter the party and liven it up.
Yep. And then when we cut back from commercial, I really like the vibes of this. It's just a very classic Halloween party, Dragon. The monsters are great with the designs. They're pretty unconventional. We have like they're kind of like Heffalump and Woozle looking guys. That's the best way I can describe them.
Yeah, there's definitely a monster mash sort of thing going on here for sure.
But I really like the just the old school jack-o'-lanterns and ghosts on the wall and stuff like that. I don't know. It's nice and quaint.
Yeah, and of course Lydia's freaking out because oh god, they're from the Neither world.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. I love like these gags. We have like the shark fin in the bobbin for the apples, which looks really good. Like there's like an actual like hand that tries to drag you in like a little candy dish. Let's see. And of course, Delia is gushing over Betty.
Call the police.
I'll tell you. Okay, so after like the statue gag, which like I can't take my eyes off, and of course the eyes fling out of the head and just kind of catapult back in. But my favorite gag is a Charles in the punch.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So Charles admires the punch for a second. Of course, out of the punch, you have like two green hands with boxing gloves on, like punching the crap out of him.
You know what I like about that gag is I feel like it could just be like a visual metaphor if you read it that way.
Yeah, sure. Of course, it's really helped by Delia's gag too. Like Charles, I think you've had enough punch.
That's what I'm saying. Like it almost kind of reminds me of like a three panel Sunday comic or something.
Yeah, for sure. It's almost like a Looney Tunes sort of like thing. Like, yeah, let's have some punch. Or have like this will this will knock your socks off. Whereas it punches you and you're across the room out your socks. Yeah. Okay, let's see. So Okay, so Claire mocks Lydia's, like, apparently in this show, because they had a line earlier in the very beginning of the episode where, like, Lydia's listing all the things they were going to do and, like, develop pictures of of what's between Beetlejuice's toes, and implies to me that Lydia might have been, like, kind of like a photo, she might have been like a, not a photojournalist, she might have been like, had like a photography kind of hobby of some sort. Might have been her thing, yearbook committee or whatnot at school. The point being, she's in the photography. And Claire's mocking her photo exhibits, and then Beetlejuice. And this is really nice. There's something to speak to here. Again, the friendship between, well, again, very different from the movie. It's a really nice dynamic they have. Is the fact that Beetlejuice is wacky, but he does really feel for this kid. You know, he really does like Lydia, and he wants to take up for her because she's too milk toast to do it herself. So Beetlejuice, he goes to the party animal. And he suggests that he dance with Claire. I love like the party monster's like really shy and everything. For the life of me, I can't
voice
remember.
On the party monster. It's like a perfect like scratch voice.
You know what's funny, T? Mark Hamill did, Mark Hamill did a parody of what this voice actor is doing as the Joker once on Batman the Animated Series. This is in reference to something really old, but for the life of me, I can't remember what character it's a parody of, or it's a reference to. Just basically when you say, "Oh no, don't want to, no."
Yeah, right.
Because that's from something, but I can't place
where.
Wait,
is it Lenny from Mice and Men?
I mean, that makes the most sense, right?
Because I know that the whole thing with Lenny and Mice and Men is that there were a bunch of Looney Tunes parodies where like the big monster guy would call the guy George. You're my cute little guy. I'm going to call you George.
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna call him George.
Yeah. So it might be that.
Maybe, quite possibly, yeah. All right. So, anyway, so the party monster goes over, and Claire is dancing with him and everything, not realizing, oh god, she's dancing with this horrible party monster that's gonna really scare some folks. But oddly enough, she's all vain and everything. He's like, oh no, I'm just gonna. She's blathering on to this thing.
I just
like,
love the idea that she's so vain that she's just like, oh, you're right. I'll introduce him to my parents. That's a great idea.
Just, it's not official unless you introduce him to your parents.
It's just like she's so gullible that she just instantly falls for that.
Yeah, yep. All right, let's see. So the rest of the normal guests arrive. Like the kids from school in costumes, they arrive. They're having a good time. Claire's parents are here, and Betty suggests introducing to the parents, which basically leads to the parents seeing. She says, "Hey, take off your head."
Okay, I love this sight gag with the parents. Like they literally turn their heads turn the exact shape of the car windows.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah,
it's perfect. It's such great stretch animation.
Of course, like him holding his actual head as he's walking there, so they have no way. They know absolutely this is not a guy in a costume. He's just literally holding his head. So they freak out, and then Claire does, and then Claire's like running after the limo because her parents left her to die. This is priceless. So then, okay, well, seemingly episode overall is fine, but then Lydia's asking, what happens after the party? And then she looks at the can, like, wait a minute. Beetlejuice, this says, like don't use during a full moon. And of course, he freaks out. He goes inside, and we see when the moon is full, our party monsters they swell like triply in size, and they become kaiju sized, and they escape.
So this, I do think that this element of the episode, it's fun, but it feels a little rushed. Like it's a lot of stakes to throw into the last 3 minutes.
For sure it's rushed, but it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
I mean, in retrospect, this could have been the whole episode, but
that's what I'm saying. I'm not nitpicking about it because it's not fun. I'm nitpicking about it because it could have been the whole episode.
You're not wrong. So basically, the idea is, okay, we gotta stop these guys before they destroy Peaceful Pines. And basically the plan is, okay, well, let's just dry them out because we added water, make them big. Let's dry them out. Let's dehydrate them, man. So she brings a portable hair dryer to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
It's a buy, but it's a cartoon, so we're just gonna wing it. So essentially, we get to go trick or treating after all, in a sense, because we have. Oh, there's an animation error in this scene. I wonder if you noticed it. So, a bunch of kids are trick or treating at this guy's house, and like the husband of the house, he's giving out the candy, and you'll notice before the monster shows up, he's like still in the candy giving motion with his eyes closed, and he's like dropping it to no trick or treater there until the monster
I
shows up.
did notice that. Yeah,
Isn't that weird?
I took it as just him being oblivious to the monster being there.
Really? Huh.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that. Yeah,
that's
I
how I read
guess.
it.
All right, all right. So he looks up and he sees this giant monster. He's, Martha! Martha!
Why do you say that name?
It's my wife's name. So of course they blow dry the giant monster. And he shrinks and they can him. They can him, Tiki.
Indeed.
And anyway, so the husband is like blabbing like an idiot, kind of Michigan J. Frog style. And anyway, so they move on to the next one, in which it's Lydia doing kind of a Clint Eastwood, make my Halloween night before the guy gets in the water supply. Gives him like a water tower sort of thing. And it says, hey, it looks like you got your night on the town after all. So then the things get really fun during a montage.
Yeah, I love the haircut. That's probably the best bit.
Yeah, it's very, it feels, doesn't it feel so Pup Named Scooby Doo to you?
Ooh, that's a good pull. It does, yeah.
It was very Pup Named Scooby Doo, which is like, oh yeah, it's kind of like a little broader than Scooby Doo. It's like, yeah, come on, let's bring you, for your appointment. Of course, they put him in like the hair dryer and like they slim him down instantly. They're gonna make it You're make it look slimmer, about 500 pounds slimmer. So then we have the montage in which we steamroll one of them, which is violent and awesome. Beetlejuice trips one and like does like a well pump on like a little water well pump sort of thing, like and all the water comes out. Let's see. So it's an even dozen at the end of the day. Success, and Tiki has our episode end.
Ends with them getting out once again.
Yes, because Beetlejuice flushed him down the toilet. You could be so stupid. He's flush him all the ways to get rid of him. He's gonna flush him down the toilet.
Okay, but you know what? There is a little bit of a nice kind of like tag to this. I
Yeah.
don't know if you got this. You probably did. The fact that Lydia seems like excited to be like kind of in here we go again mode. Like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, delightful. Like, yeah, let's do it again. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So
it was really
that was a nice little tag.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it beats like the other tag, which would have been, the thing you've seen 100 other times. Like, hey, the next day it's Lydia, your party was great. We didn't do that, thank God.
Oh God, right.
Because that's how many other times have you seen like, oh God, I wonder how the kids at school are going to react this next day. Your party was great, yay for me. Didn't do that, thankfully.
Okay, so yeah, that's one in the books, 12 to go, Dragon. We are at the start of a journey.
Yep, an even dozen to go, Tiki.
Indeed. Did you know that the Voodoo Donuts at Universal Studios, when you get a dozen, they give you 13?
Tiki, it's the darnest thing. I know you've mentioned the Voodoo Donuts to me before, but can you remind me what the heck a Voodoo Donut is again?
Well, I actually don't really like them. They're like super fancy donuts. Like they put a whole bunch of crap on donuts. Like there's one that's covered in Captain Crunch, for example.
I see.
And I don't know. I think it's a little too decadent, but
But
yeah.
they sell donuts at Universal, though.
It's super popular.
Really?
Like there's always a line.
Do they have a guy with a shrunken head sell them to you?
Like there's a Dr. Facilier Shadow Man type guy who's like the logo.
I see.
Anyways.
This is in Universal?
City Walk specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So Dragon, any final observations or should we get going?
I mean, just like to round things out a little bit. So again, it was really fun revisiting the Beetlejuice, and of course, it's one very nostalgically kind of plugged in, and did certain things like I think it held up better than I expected, but I imagine the show as a whole may not hold up as well. But still, it was a fun. This episode in particular, very fun to revisit.
All right. Well, folks, that's the end of tonight's spooky selection. And our spirits grow weary. But they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more Haunted Holiday Hijinks. You like it.
You like it.